Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I am doing another Fatal Friday video. Fatal Friday being the series I do where I go into the Kombat League for Mortal Kombat 1, and using the main roster and Kameo fighters, I go for their unique finishers like Fatalities and Brutalities. And today I'm going to go ahead and go for the Kameo Kano's Fatality, Heart Ripper. Now, Heart Ripper is the fatality that Kano had back in the day during the events of the original Mortal Kombat video game. We just get to see it in much more updated graphics in this Mortal Kombat 1 video game. And now having said that, I realize that's kind of a weird statement. I'm referencing both the original Mortal Kombat game and Mortal Kombat 1, but I am not talking about the same thing. So yeah, thank you NetherRealm Studios for that. I mean, don't get me wrong, this game being called Mortal Kombat 1 makes total sense in the context of the full story of Mortal Kombat. However, it's just a random title for a video game. Whenever I say Mortal Kombat 1, I used to be referring to the original Mortal Kombat. Well, I can't do that now because Mortal Kombat 1 is now the most recent Mortal Kombat, which is technically Mortal Kombat 12. And so you might be thinking to yourself, well, why don't you just call the original Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat? Well, technically, there are two Mortal Kombats called Mortal Kombat, one being the original Mortal Kombat, and then Mortal Kombat 2011, so I can't even do that. So now every single time I'm talking about the original Mortal Kombat, I have to go out of my way to say that I am talking about the original Mortal Kombat. So yeah, they could not have just made talking about either of those games easy. Anyway, before I went on a rant about the naming convention of the Mortal Kombat games, I was talking about the fatality for Kano. So yeah, Heart Ripper in this game is basically the same as the fatality that Kano had back in the very first game, which is a super simple fatality whenever compared to the fatalities of today. All Kano does is just put his fist through your chest and pull out your heart. Comparing that to something like Baraka's fatality in this game, where he rips open your stomach, pulls out your intestines, hangs you up by them, cooks you, and then feeds you to other Tarkatans. Yeah, just simply ripping the heart out of somebody is pretty simple in comparison. So, besides just describing the fatality that I'm going to be going for my Kameo fighter, let's go ahead and look at the combination I am using today. I have paired up Peacemaker and Kano when going into this fight. And if you saw the record at the very beginning whenever I was getting paired up against my opponent, this was one of the very first Peacemaker fights I ever did. At least in the Kombat League. And honestly, I would consider it my first. Like, I had one other fight prior to this that I won, but I don't really want to count that because that was going against somebody using Kenshi, and that person quit-tality'd really early on in the fight, so yeah, I won it, but I don't really want to count that because I have no idea how that would have ended had my opponent stayed around, so we're just going to go ahead and disregard that as a mild inconvenience because I didn't get to finish the fight, and we're going to go ahead and count this as my very first Kombat League fight using Peacemaker. But even though this was my very first fight using Peacemaker in the Kombat League, it is not my first time posting a video for Peacemaker on the Thor's Entertainment channel. Now the main reason for that being is that, well, I didn't go for a Peacemaker related finisher in this video. So it made sense that the first time I posted anything using this character that was brand new at the time, I'd go ahead and post something that was actually highlighting one of his finishers. So I went ahead and skipped to the second fight that I had with Peacemaker where I got a finisher for either him or his Kameo fighter, and that one was going for his Shield of Peace Brutality. Alright, and as you just saw, we went ahead and took the very first match in this set. So I already told you who I was using and what finisher I was going to be highlighting in this video, but I really have not talked too much about my opponent. Well, first things first, my opponent was somebody using Johnnycage in the Kameo Sareena. And at the time, we were still the very first rank you get whenever you first start a season in the Kombat League. I actually don't remember what that one is. I think it's Combatant or something like that. But yeah, we were still fairly new to the season for Kombat League this time around. So we were both fairly new, but my opponent had played more matches than me going into this. And I'm going to go back and check on this, and oh, I was wrong. Rank number 1 is Apprentice, not Combatant. Anyway, my opponent was undefeated. My opponent had won 8 consecutive matches in the Kombat League. And considering I had only used Peacemaker on one other fight, and that fight ended in a quit-tality super early before I really got a feel for the character going against other people, yeah, I was not super confident going into this against somebody who was undefeated. I was immediately under the impression that I was probably going to be starting off with Peacemaker losing. But then suddenly I found myself up 1-0 in the set, so I was feeling pretty confident. It probably did not hurt that Peacemaker was still really new at the time, and my opponent was probably not too familiar with him, or how to punish certain things that he did, or the fact that one of his combos ends in a grab that you have to duck under. So just little things like that probably were in my favor. Because clearly my opponent was undefeated, and you don't necessarily get there by luck all the time. Like, I'm sure it's not impossible, but winning 8 consecutive times doesn't sound too lucky to me. It seems like you kind of know what you're doing. In any case, though, I found myself in a situation where all I needed to do was win one more round and I could win the entire set. And suddenly I found myself feeling like Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. I was trying to beat the streak. I have no idea if that reference is too dated at this point, but you know what? We're gonna run with that. And considering I am playing as Peacemaker, who is played by John Cena, I probably should have been going for some kind of a WWE reference that includes John Cena, but forget that. We're gonna go with Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. And if anyone's curious why I wouldn't try to look for some kind of a John Cena reference for the WWE, I don't know. I guess we'll go ahead and pretend I did some kind of a joke about not being able to see John Cena. But we'll go ahead and go back to the matter at hand. In this fight, I was getting pretty low on health, but I was not out of it. Somehow, it was still pretty close in this final round of the second match. And after an armored wake-up, my opponent was below 30% health, and I decided, you know what? This is a brand new character. Let's go ahead and try something and see if he truly knows the matchup. We're going to go for the Fatal Blow, which happens to be a low. And sure enough, my opponent did not realize that or did not remember it because they blocked high. The Fatal Blow hit, and this match is over and the set is over. Let's go for the Fatality.
Fatality. Peacemaker wins.
And there it is. That was the Heart Ripper Fatality for the Kameo Kano. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw it already, but I almost screwed that input up. I think I was thinking to myself I was going to go for Peacemaker's Fatality for some reason, so I went ahead and hit a different button, which is why you saw that gunshot. And then I realized very quickly what I did, and I tried to correct myself, and fortunately I had just enough time to get Kano's Fatality to go through. So yeah, that all worked out. So yeah, that was kind of lucky in the end. After all, I did go for that Fatal Blow, and my opponent blocked high instead of low, and it hit, and I ended up winning it. So I definitely feel like my character being very new helped me to win this match. But in the end, it did not matter. A win is a win, and we beat the streak. We gave my opponent his very first loss of the season. So yeah, that was a pretty good feeling at the time. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this video wrapped up. I'll go ahead and show the Fatality one more time at the very end of the episode. That way we can all enjoy it one more time before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. But yeah, if you enjoyed getting to see this match and this Fatality, feel free to check out some of the other stuff I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other finisher-related videos just like this under the Mortal Kombat 1 online playlist. And if you're really into the Mortal Kombat stuff, I also have playthroughs of various story modes for some of the Mortal Kombat games. But yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you for watching the video again. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Fatality. Peacemaker wins.